Hey everyone, welcome back to the AI versus HI podcast, artificial intelligence versus human intelligence, where we talk about how human intelligence often outperforms artificial intelligence in real estate situations. So this is a really, really interesting topic I think that we're going to get into, Tim. And it has to do with the gray areas in contracts. And I say that it's interesting because more often than not, I know somebody who's used AI to create contracts for them. But you know how it is. Sometimes contracts are not enough detail. Sometimes they're intentionally vague. Sometimes they're intentionally gray. What's your thought on AI's ability to interpret gray areas versus a human with experience?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Here's, again, I think we talked about this one of the previous sections where we talked about AI cannot be held accountable.
Yeah.
So let's say that somebody creates a contract or purchase agreement of some kind using artificial intelligence. Yeah. It may not know what the local custom is. It may not know what the local tradition is when it comes to doing real estate, but the letter of the contract is going to carry the day.
Yeah.
And it's almost 100% impossible to engineer out or in every possible outcome or hurdle that you come across in a deal. So here's my thought. You really need to have human intelligence that when you get to a point in a conversation that the contract says this, even though it's in black and white, two different agents or two different brokers have two different interpretations about what those exact letters mean.
Right.
And at that point, we have to have the ability to walk through it and try to come to a real human understanding of what's going on to interpret this to the satisfaction or the resolution, at least, of everybody.
And I think is an interesting point that you made about it not being held accountable. This isn't a math algorithm or an equation that it's throwing resources at and solving, right? Sometimes if you don't get it right, people's lives, they don't get the home they want. They get into a situation they shouldn't be in.
Yes.
So, and, I've been in situations where AI blatantly says something wrong, right? And you'd say, oh yeah, you said this wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, great.
No accountability. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's a great thing.
I think that's just, another example where you really want a real person kind of in your corner looking at these things just to improve the probability for the best outcome. So
yeah. Well, here's an example for you. Let me give you just a quick example.
Yeah.
Let's say that you use artificial intelligence to create a bulletproof contract. If you are in a situation where you're in a multiple bid situation, the sellers and the agents and brokers on the other side of this transaction might look at that and say, you want to do what? You want what in this contract? I'm sorry, that's a great number, but the terms and conditions you're proposing because of a computer sitting in Simi Valley or wherever, we're not going to go along with that, despite the great terms that you have. Some of the generated text just might not serve you well.
And that brings up a great point. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you finish that thought?
I did, but I've got more. Keep going.
I was just going to say, I've been in that situation, right, where it overcomplicates things, and I've got experience in my craft and my trade to say that that might provide more protection or whatever it is in the case of a contract, but the cost versus benefit, right? If it's low risk, but putting it in there is going to be a high likelihood this person's going to be like, kick rocks. There's just too much going on. I intentionally removed things that protected me, right? But I weighed the value of that,
And that's the human intelligence, and
exactly.
That's paid off. Yeah, that's exactly right, because you have to kind of be able to read the situation and figure out, are the parties on the other side going to be put off by these requests? We want to stay focused on being able to achieve our clients and our principals' objectives. Right? We've got to get them where they want to be.
Yeah.
But we don't want to overreach and shoot ourselves in the foot.
Right. And I think that's an interesting example because it's not necessarily like AI versus HI, one's better. It's a great example of how they complement each other.
That's
how
it.
You need both.
Bet I couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah.
You need both.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. That was great.
Thanks, Adrian.
Yeah.